Loading.
Hey guys, this is Susan with Pack Leader Dog Training. I'm here with Rachel Kohler Dog Training, and we missed a week of Q&A Tuesday, but we are back to Q&A 28, and we're ready.
We are back and better than ever.
Yeah.
Isn't that the expression?
Look at Rachel's shirt.
Look, it's got little paw prints on it.
Isn't
Okay,
that the cutest thing?
let me make my name go away. Look, it's got little paw prints.
So fun.
It's so cute.
Super cute.
Let's see. It's so weird because this week went by actually really fast. Usually the Q&As, like, that's my looking forward to. I look forward to Q&A Tuesday, and then the next Q&A Tuesday comes, so I know it's been a week.
I know. This one snuck up on me because, we didn't have last week. And when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh my God, it's Q&A Tuesday already. Like, gotta be ready.
Right? Yeah, we missed last week because I was with Kristen Murray Photography. I had a photo shoot done, me and Gaia, as you know. And today we had our reveal session. So today she came over and I got to look at all the pictures, and I picked which ones I wanted in my album.
Were you able to look?
It was hard because they were like also like, she did such an amazing job that it was hard. But we got down to my favorites for my album, and I'm incredibly excited about it. I'll be getting those around my birthday, so around the end of this month.
That's awesome.
But if anyone's looking for a pet photographer, I highly recommend Kristen Murray, because like just the experience with her, like, Susan, you need to come down here just to have a shoot with her, because it was great. You can visit me while you're here too, but I mean, come down here to shoot with her.
That's a perk. I'll come down for Kristen, but like you'll just be like, oh yeah, Rachel's down here.
Oh yeah, okay, Rachel. Yeah. But no, she was great. I'm really, really excited about these pictures because I think she really like captured my relationship with Gaia. Like this little potato ham thing that lives in my house with me, who I love with my whole heart, captured that.
Love it.
One more thing to comment before we dive in. I'm going to do what we've talked about several times and cut treats while we're talking. So I'll probably, if you can hear it, maybe I'll stop. I don't know if it's going to be loud. But I've got a bucket of very large treats, and they need to be cut. And I'm not often just sitting here, so I'm going to take advantage of that.
For me, I don't have any treats to cut. They're on their way. So I'll have to join you next week.
I know, I sprung this on you last minute. I was like, let's cut treats today. And then you're like, but I don't have any.
No, but I need some because Miss Skyla is eating me out of house and home. I have one thing of treats left, and then the rest went to Howie today.
Yeah,
he got the rest of the So like my treat pouch, 3/4 of it was like the dust.
Oh, yes.
You know, so I fed it to Howie today.
He appreciated that, and like sometimes I get annoyed at like all the dust in the bottom of my treat pouch, because it's like your treat pouch looks full, but then like it just accumulates and it's all just dust and crumbs.
Yes.
And then I remembered it's perfect for recalling and outing dogs off of, like I'm guessing you did with him.
Yes.
So it's like, it's really annoying, but it has its advantages. So Susan, do we have any dog training questions?
Yes. Rachel, I saw you're running a special on training huskies. Why is that?
I am running a special on training huskies. So the reason I'm running this special is because something really irks me, if we're going to be really honest. I'm running the special because someone started the silly rumor that huskies can't be trained. That I like had heard it before. I didn't realize that people actually genuinely thought huskies couldn't be trained.
Specifically, like off leash.
Yeah. So
they can't be off leash trained.
Right. And I'm like, no. And like big box stores were telling people that they're like, for example, this person was told their husky wasn't trainable. Its problem was it jumped on people. So that just really upset me, because this owner was telling me how discouraged they felt, and they were devastated to just have a professional tell them that their dog couldn't be helped. And it was just a happy-go-lucky dog that like jumped on people, right? So they're like, I guess we just have to deal with it when company comes over. It kind of sucks, but we love our dogs, so we got to just deal with it.
Yeah.
And it really upset me, and it didn't sit right with me. And in my neighborhood, there's a lot of huskies in the neighborhood who escape. And on every single post, like every single one, somebody comments and says, well, it's a husky. They're escape artists.
Mm-hmm.
They're not escape artists. They're dogs who can be trained, They're just a high drive dog that people, I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant here. I feel I'm very passionate about this husky thing, and that's why I have the deal. But people forget that they are a working breed. They are high energy. They need to be mentally and physically exercised, or they're going to get bored, and your 4-foot fence is nothing to them. They'll go over it. 6 foot, they don't care because they're bored. But if you train them and if you be a leader to them, pack leader, dog training, and if you be a leader to them and you give them rules and boundaries and structure, they're great dogs, just like any other dog.
Right.
And that was my rant on the fact that huskies are trainable. And I want to prove it to people. So I'm doing this discount because I know that people have probably already gone through trainers and maybe not been successful, or maybe had a trainer who told them their dog was untrainable. And I know that's discouraging. And then I know to go to another trainer and then fork over a bunch more money is going to be like, oh, what's the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am so sure that I can train your husky and I can help you. Hit me up so I can help you train your husky, because I don't want you to like settle for your dog's not great habits because you think you have to live with them.
Right.
It's my very long rant. You have anything to add on the husky situation, Susan?
Not huskies in particular, but just breeds. So don't use the breed excuse, or don't fall for the breed excuse. Mm-hmm. So like if you have a beagle and you can't walk them because they're smelling the ground constantly, people would say, it's a beagle, they like to smell, what do you expect? Okay, right. Yeah, because they were bred to do scent work and smell and tracking. But that doesn't mean you can't create an on-off switch for the scent work. We're doing scent work now we're walking, 2 different things. So like I had Skyla at Hobby Lobby, and there was someone that approached us, and they're like, oh, is that a Weimaraner? And I said, yeah. And he's like, it's a beautiful Weimaraner. I'm like, thank you. And he said, yeah, somebody who knew had one. And he's like, they're either really smart or they're really dumb. And I don't usually call dogs dumb. It's just you can't find their motivator, whether it be a punishment, which is what motivates a dog, or something positive. So I'm going to start out, and Rachel is going to start out with a positive motivator. Most often food. So that's how we get the dog to like want to do these things, and we pattern the good choices. And then the motivator slowly becomes consequence. You're going to listen because there's a consequence if you don't. But it's just like, let's find a good motivator. Or let's teach them what this motivator means.
Right.
So here's food as a motivator. If I hold food up in front of my dog, they're not just going to know how to sit. I need to know how to use this motivator to lure them into the sit. Same thing as like e-collar pressure. So there was a dog that I had that I trained, and the owners had tried e-collar training for jumping, and they hit him on the highest level. He didn't care. But you take him to my house, and he trained up on less than a 10. I don't remember what his number was, but it was 10 or less on the e-collar. E-collar goes to 100, and he did not jump on me once. And then I don't think we couldn't get him to jump on you.
No, we tried setting him up, and he was like, no, thanks, though.
Right. So it's like you can just see how his negative motivator didn't work when you didn't train him. But now that you trained him, I can't get him to do the bad behavior. They're like, don't let the breed excuse like give you that false hopelessness.
Right.
There's hope.
I think that was great. And I love how you explained the motivator can be a positive thing or a consequence, right? So the consequence is going to motivate you to not do that. Speeding, right?
Yeah.
I know that I'm going to get a speeding ticket if I speed. That consequence really motivates me to not speed, because honestly, I don't want to deal with that hassle.
Right.
That's my motivator, not to speed. So while I might really want to get to where I'm going, that consequence to me is very valuable, because it's not like for me, it's a whole something I don't want to have to do. That's very valuable to me. It outweighs the reward of getting where I'm going on time.
Right.
So I think that was explained really well. And I like how you talked about explaining that, like explaining what the consequence means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like that's so important, because this could go either way, right? I'm gonna go on a little analogy rant here if you don't mind, because the way you said that was so great. Okay, so we have to explain why there's this consequence. So the speeding ticket, I know that if I speed, I'll get a ticket, and that's why. But this is, I guess cops is a sensitive subject, but we're going to pretend it's not for a minute just for the fact of this analogy. But if I am just driving around and I randomly get pulled over, just randomly pulled over, that's going to go one of two ways. One, I'm just not going to drive anymore because I'm going to randomly get tickets. And that really is such an anxiety, awful experience for me that I'm not going to just drive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or screw it. I'm going to drive however I want, whenever I want, wherever I want, because this consequence is going to happen anyways. It just happens.
Ooh.
But because I was told, because in a way that I understand, speeding equals this consequence, I'm not going to speed. I compare those things, right? So we have to make sure we explain to our dogs, this consequence is happening because of this behavior in a way that they understand. And that's why our training has so many stages before we get to correctional. Mm-hmm. Mind blown. What were you going to say?
It just makes so much sense with that dog that I had, the board and train that you were here. Because I'm like, oh my God, that was him. He's like, screw it. I'm going to get
I don't care.
Randomly, so I'm just going to jump whenever I want. Oh my God.
And he ended up being like pretty sensitive, right? Like once he knew, like, I don't know if sensitive is the right word, but like, okay, I care, so let me turn off this pressure because I know how to now.
I don't remember him training up badly. I remember he didn't care about leash pressure, and that was rough.
Yeah, we had to train him to care about that, it was a fun experience, a fun learning experience.
It was cool. But I don't remember any of the e-collar stuff being hard.
Right, like, because he was like
after.
Wow, that makes so much sense, Susan.
I know. We just had like
a little trainer's talk. I know, like okay. But yeah, I love analogies, so I'm kind of like really hyped about that analogy I just had about making your corrections clear to dogs. So that was fun. For anyone who's just jumped in, the reason I am looking down is because I am currently cutting treats.
Yeah, she has a whole
my treats.
How she does it too.
Huh?
I said you have a whole system of how you cut treats too.
Yes, I do. I cut them up, and then it's all this like dusty grossness. So then I dump that in this strainer, which goes in my dust bucket. And then my cut treats go in a separate bucket, but I don't have any yet right now. So that's why I'm looking down.
A quick off topic, then we can actually like talk dog training.
Yeah.
Do you still get dust in your treat pouch then? Okay, cool.
I'm like, so much freaking dust.
If you don't, let's start doing that. But I don't do the strainer thing. So I'll have a whole bucket where there's dust on the bottom and all my treats are mixed in, whatever.
Right. So it starts out with no dust, because what I'll do right now, it's pretty much all down to crumbs. So I'll dump that into the strainer. Depending on if the crumbs are really tiny, they go in a crumb bucket, I know. And then my nice fresh treats that are the size that I want them to be, they start fresh in my treat pouch. But I think the reason mine gets so dusty is because I wear my treat pouch in the car, and I'm in the car a lot, and I'm realizing my treat pouch is like hitting my center console. So I think it constantly just gets smashed, and these treats are dehydrated, so they just crumble.
Oh.
So if I wasn't lazy, I would remember to just take my treat pouch off when I get in the car. So maybe have less crumbs. But yeah.
Do you have any questions?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I don't sound so shocked. You should actually sound shocked. I'm never prepared. So my question for you, Susan, is how do you how do you train a dog to use a pee pad?
How do I?
Yeah.
I do not.
Why? Tell me.
Okay, so did you know when I first got Sadie 10 and a half years ago, I did have pee pads. And you know what that little beep did? She took the pee pad and tore it up and shook it. And it was the best thing that ever happened because I was like, F these pee pads. And then we just trained her out to go outside.
Nice. Sadie said, no, Mom.
This isn't what we do. So pee pads are rough because, I mean, some people swear by them. I guess. I don't know. But being in the vet world, there's been multiple dogs that have been trained on pee pads, and they'll still go potty in the house. Mm-hmm. And even if they go on the pee pad, they'll be on the pee pad, lift their leg because they're a boy, and pee off the pee pad. So I don't want dogs peeing in my house. So there's a downfall. And then there have been dogs that, like, they're still not potty trained because of the pee pad situation. And they go on to never be potty trained because of the pee pad situation. So just take your dogs outside.
Right.
That's what I would recommend. Yeah. If you want to get pee pad trained, I can't help you there.
Yeah. If you want your dog pee pad trained, be aware that they might always be pee pad trained. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you said, and I set you up for this one because it was another thing I wanted. You are always so great, and you talk about pictures. So for anyone who doesn't know, dogs think in pictures. So we refer to pictures a lot, right? I never want my dog to have a mental picture of peeing or pooping in my house and it being okay. Now, of course, accidents happen. I don't correct for peeing or pooping in the house because that was my fault. I should have taken you out sooner. Unless the dog's marking, but that's a whole nother situation. I never want you to have a picture of peeing or pooping in my house because that's nasty. So why, and this was actually a parenting hack thing I heard on TikTok, but it's like, why start a habit I'm going to have to break? So why start teaching you to pee and poop in my house to then go and break it? Mm-hmm. So I've got, again, I've known adult dogs and there's pee pads in the house and I'm like, why? It's gross. Sorry if you do use them, but I just don't want pee and poop in my house. Mm-hmm. But then I have a dog right now who I'm working with, and this dog's 6 months old and was pee pad trained, right? Really well, but it made it association with the place. So if the pad is not at this spot, if it's moved over here, the dog still goes potty in this spot. Mm-hmm. So now it's a whole thing that we're having to slowly transition that to like an outside thing. But you're just setting yourself up for a lot of work. Long story short.
Like you think it's going to be easier and it's not. Like the process that Rachel's going to have to go through to get this dog to pee outside is going to be a long process.
Right. A long process. And the owners are great. I talk to them. They're super awesome and they're going to put in the work and it's going to be great. But it's just a lot of work. And don't get me wrong, because, I'm thinking about when I get my puppy in the next couple of years and taking it out every 3 or 4 hours is going to be a big pain in my butt. But not as bad as potty training an adult dog, Mm-hmm. Put in the work when they're babies and then you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was my rant on that.
All right. Okay. Rachel.
Are you going to make me go on another rant?
No. Okay. One of my dogs will lick my other dog for 10 to 15 minutes every day. Is this something I shouldn't allow?
I left.
You're done?
So, dog A licks dog B every day for a while, right?
Uh-huh.
Is this something you should allow? Personal preference. Well, no. The dog being licked, are they okay with it? Is it annoying them? Do they feel like they're not being advocated for, So if the dog that's being licked is uncomfortable or, just not happy with it, you definitely want to advocate for that dog. Because if that dog gets to the point where they've had enough and you have advocated for them, they could go after that dog and it could get really ugly, right? Mm-hmm. So pretend dog being licked is completely chill with it. And I just wonder where the dog who's licking, I'm wondering about their mindset because licking is an obsessive compulsive behavior. It's like an OCD behavior, right? Like, why are you so anxious that you're just licking? You know, like, why won't you like settle down? So I would want to maybe help the dog who's licking calm down some and not feel so wound up that they need to do all that licking. But if you don't mind it and your dogs don't mind it and it's not hurting anybody, you can. I mean, I want it. If I think licking is really annoying, I think the sounds make me want to rip my ears out. But yeah, if your dogs are in good mindsets and not bothered by it, personal preference. What do you think, Susan?
I agree with everything you said, not say, like, flat statement.
No, you agree with everything I say. Come on.
Everything you said. Licking is generally a obsessive compulsive thing. I would be worried about the dog's mindset because it is just like, why are you doing that? Same thing as like if a dog has a toy and it literally is just licking the toy in the same exact spot for like 10 minutes. I'm going to say, why? You know what I mean? Like, it's all in the intent of the dog.
Right.
So I would not allow it.
Gaia licks her feet for like 2 seconds sometimes after she eats. And I'm like, could you not?
I know.
We have a question here.
Yes.
Let's see. Miss Marianne Henley. Hi, Marianne. Thank you for joining us. My puppy does well to bark to go outside, but now he barks a lot more. I guess he just wants to go out. How do I know the difference? Okay, so puppy's barking at the door. Is he barking at the door because he's signaling that he's got to go potty, or because he's found that when I bark, the door opens and that's really exciting, so now I want to bark? So do you want to answer first, or I have a...
You go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I was like, before I lose my train of thought. So puppies learned, I know that this is a pretty young blue heeler puppy, and he's learned that barking gets me to go outside, and that's super great. So a lot of times my puppy owners ask me, when is my puppy going to start signaling that they need to go outside? When are they going to signal? When are they going to signal? I don't really want actually you to signal. Like, when you're an adult dog, I'm going to know. But this was my concern with puppy signaling, because he's maybe not differentiating potty time versus playtime, right? So I just want to take you out on the schedule. I don't know exactly how old this puppy is, but I know he's young. So I would just have him on a potty schedule. So I know when you have to go potty, because I'm taking you out every 4 or 5 hours, however old he is. So I know you're pottying when you need to. And then another key thing to do is differentiate potty time and playtime. So when we're going out to go potty, you're going to go out on a leash. We're going to go to the same potty spot, and you can go potty there. If you don't go potty, we're going to go back inside. So if you want to continue this barking at the door thing, that's fine. But the leash goes on, and we go to potty spot. If you don't potty spot, we go back inside. So you don't get happy, fun time, playtime out of it. If you're barking at the door, you got to go potty, right? So that's what I would do. Do you have any?
Yeah, the schedule. So based on how old the puppy is, it's how many months they are plus 1. So if it's like a 3-month-old puppy, they can hold their bladder for up to 4 hours. So I would take them out every like 3.5, 4 hours. And then if you bark at the door, or bark to go outside, I don't like that. I would correct it. Or just not take the dog outside, because I don't want you barking to go out. Like, that's a lot of responsibility for just a young puppy. And plus, they are going to want to bark to go outside. That's the problem that I had with people that use the bells. The dog goes over and just ding. Yeah, they go outside and they just run around and play. Come back inside, ding-a-ling-a-ling. Because it's fun outside, right? It is. It's fun outside. But keeping the potty time separate from playtime. He gets to go out. Oh, okay, 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he can hold his bladder for like 5.5 hours. So if he barks to go out, and you're like, maybe he does, let's give you the benefit of the doubt the first time. Like Rachel said, take you out. Here's the one potty spot. 1 minute later, are you dinking around and just being a puppy? Well, then we're going to come inside. I'm going to put you in your crate for like 5 minutes. And then now we can come out and like actually work and play and that kind of stuff. But try to discourage like that attention barking to go outside.
That's okay, Marianne, but that's like why you're here and asking. Also, I need to come meet the puppy soon and visit, because it's been too long, Marianne. But yeah, I was gonna ask, are you crate training? Are you crate training this puppy? I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. Are y'all crate training him? Because that's gonna be another big thing, right? So he's got this free time that he's now decided he's gonna go to the door and bark. No, right? Like we're not doing that. That's rude. We're not going outside right now. So if he's being actively played with or actively trained, he's not going to be at the door barking. So if he's having this free time where he's like, I'm going to just go bark at the door to see if that gets me what I want, he can maybe be in the crate taking a nap or something like that. Give him a nice schedule to help him out some. And anytime, that's what we're here for. I'm actually really excited because that was like a nice, real question to get to talk about. And like, I love helping. Okay.
We love live questions.
I know, it's great. We've got another question for you, Susan.
Heather joined.
Hi, Heather. Heather says, Susan, I forgot to ask you today, or Rachel, how do you go about introducing your dog to other dogs so our friends' dogs can come over and play with Penny and Howie?
So introductions depends on the other dog. I know you guys, like, your dogs are adult dogs, so I would have them meeting on leash to start and then advocating for the dogs. Unfortunately, the dogs that you're meeting aren't trained like yours are. So when dogs first interact, like on a leash, you want the leash to be nice and loose. So I don't want the dogs meeting with the leashes tense, because that makes them tense and it can cause dog fight. So you have the dogs like meet with the leashes nice and loose, and then let's read their body language, right? So Howie and Penny, I would introduce one at a time. Don't have Howie and Penny meet dog X, because that's a lot of pressure for dog X, you know? So one-on-one interaction to start. So let's say it's Howie and this random dog. When they're smelling each other, after like 3 to 5 seconds, if they don't disperse, I'm going to tell Howie to out, because it's like a really long, awkward hug. I think I've told you that before. So if I go over to, like, you know, Rachel, I'm going to hug her for like 5 seconds. And then after that, she's going to be like, please get your hands off me. This is getting awkward. Same thing with dogs. So smell for 3 to 5 seconds, out, and move away. And then do that again, out, and move away. But really advocate for both parties.
Right.
And it's hard because you have 2 dogs. So your 2 dogs could easily be like a lot for this other one dog if it's, you know. So just watch that. I'd probably introduce one at a time to start and then advocate for both dogs. If one of them looks more uncomfortable, so if the dog meeting Howie looks more uncomfortable, like he's just stiff and kind of standing there, I would just have Howie out from him and let them interact by just existing in the same room, you know. Ideally, in a perfect world, the other dog would know out as well. Bare minimum out, because then if things get like weird, if they're smelling each other too long, you say out, and both dogs turn around and like back out. I don't let my dogs interact with dogs that aren't trained, to be completely honest with you.
Right.
Because I can control my dogs, I can't control dog X. So I would be doing my dogs a disservice.
I was just going to comment on that. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to finish your thought process?
I would be doing my dogs a disservice if I had them like just loosey-goosey in my house, and here's this random dog that's like bothering the crap out of them. My dog's trying to get away, and I don't have control over dog X because they're not trained, you know?
Right.
What were you going to say?
So Heather then asks, do you do it outside at our house or a neutral ground? I thought this was a great question because as you're talking, you know, I'm of course thinking of my answer, and everything you're saying, of course, I agree with, usually. And I do this time, of course. But I was also going to add, you know, some tips I learned from before I even became a official dog trainer, and the tips were to meet at a neutral ground, right? So I don't know if you agree with this, you know, but I don't want to bring a dog into like my dog's territory. It's my territory. But I'm not going to bring you into this house. One, it's really confined. I want to be outside where we've got space. So we're going to go outside because it's neutral. This isn't your land, not your land. We're chill, right? But another thing I wanted to add, and you kind of mentioned this with out. So what I would do before I learned the out command, because I've only been training that like the past not long at all, is movement. So movement is your friend. I'm not going to sit here and have our dogs staring at each other, right? Like, let's move. So before, like way back before I had any training knowledge, we would go for a walk, right? So I remember watching whatever dog TV show it was. We're going to walk on opposite sides of the street and we're just going to exist. Like, that dog is going to get kind of boring because you're not meeting them. We're just walking together. Then you kind of bring them closer, reading their body language, but slowly let them get a little bit closer, but still walking, because we're not going to have, I don't want to hug you, Susan. Hugs make me uncomfortable. I'm not initiating that hug. So I don't want to put our dogs in that situation where they have to decide if they want to hug. We're just going to walk. So I'm going to walk up to you and like, hey, let's go take a walk and chat. And we can walk and talk and get to know each other. But there's no, you know, when you get to end a walk with somebody and like you're saying bye and you got to like stand there awkwardly and like, do we hug? Can we part ways? I don't want to, can we just go? Can I like wave? I don't want to put my dog in that situation, right? So let's just move so we don't have to decide if we're going to hug or sniff or get in each other's face. So with Penny and Howie specifically, one at a time still, and reading their body language, and loose leash is super important because dogs pick up on your vibes, and everything Susan said. But your guys are trained, and from what I've heard from Susan, they're awesome. I've heard that you've been putting in some awesome work with them, by the way. So yeah, I think that would be the way to go. You know, you can advocate for dog X by outing Penny or Howie, but make sure you also advocate for them by not letting dog X chase them around. So if dog X needs to drag a long line so he can be moved out of a situation, that could be helpful. You know, make sure it's not getting tangled or no one's getting choked or anything like that. But that way you can advocate for your guys. Because I'm the same as you, Susan. I'm not going to put my dog in a situation where I can't advocate for her. Because she's going to advocate for herself and it's not going to be pretty. So yeah. Real quick, Marianne, I asked if she created him, and she said no, he doesn't go in the crate unless we leave. So good that you have got a crate already, and he goes in there when you leave. To give you some advice you didn't ask for, I would recommend you start creating him some while you're home as well, because that's going to help with a couple different things. The barking at the door, you don't get that freedom right now. You're only 4.5 months old. I don't let a toddler run around my house and do whatever they want. So this pup doesn't get to run around and do whatever he wants either. So we're going to have some nap time, right? Because he's not always going to know to just take a nap by himself. We're going to put you in the crate even when we're home, so you can like take a nap, rest, do your puppy thing, and then come back out later. It's also really going to help preventing him from getting separation anxiety. It's not going to be a surefire way, but it's going to help. Because dogs should be able to be in the crate and comfortable even when you're home. So Blue, you know, he's a special guy. For the longest time, he couldn't be in the crate when we were home. It would be, before I became a trainer, it was awful. If he went in the crate while we were home and he knew we were home, he barked the entire time. But if he went in the crate and we left, we would hear, he would be fine. He would be quiet. But if somebody was home, why am I in the crate? So you could just set your puppy up for success by teaching them that it's okay to be in the crate even when we are home. And that's going to help with potty training and help him not develop some potential behavioral issues. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the crate's going to be your best friend, man. Because really like God bless people that have puppies that don't crate them throughout the day. How do you do life? Like,
right.
So when I had, who was that? Allie? When I had Allie, oh my God. My favorite part of the day was between like 8 and 10:30 p.m. because that was like nap time where Susan gets to take a bath, read a book, play my games, and then I'd work her again right before bed. But it's like, I need that downtime too. Go to bed.
Right? You're right, because how, like, they get into everything. Everything, and they don't stop. Like puppies, you know, most times they don't know to self-regulate. So when they're tired, they're not going to be like, you know what, guys,
let me sleep.
Feel like I need a little bit of a nap right now. No, they're going to keep going. Huh?
Unless you're Samantha.
Yes, she sleeps to get out of work. She's such a faker. She really is. I found her motivator. When I brought out a toy, guess who wasn't tired all the time anymore? Hang on, let me plop in over here real quick. Is it gonna let me show this whole message?
Oh wow.
Oh, it did.
Wow.
Okay, so this is Mackenzie. She says, hey guys, just wanted to chime in on dogs meeting since I walk dogs and we get new dogs all the time and I have to migrate them into the pack. My boss will walk the new dog and I'll have a dog. We walk together, but not too close. Read the energy and body language. And when we know they're relaxed, one of us will take both leashes, one in each hand, and walk. Again, we read the energy and the body language since they're now closer.
Nice.
Really smart. Because, yeah, Mackenzie, not all the dogs she walks are trained. So it's just kind of like moving. And again, like the hug thing, right? We want to keep it moving so it's not super awkward. You got two people there. So, like, Penny and Howie's mom would have one. The friend would have one. And having that distance is nice.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was saying. I don't know if it was important or not. Oh, Samantha, faking tired to get out of work. Oh, yeah. Puppies aren't going to self-regulate. So, like, imagine a kid in a candy shop amusement park, right? Like a 7 or 8 year old. I don't know. Wait, how old are kids when they stop napping? I don't know. A kid who's probably not 7 or 8. 5? Okay, we're going to go with 5. I don't know. My kid is 7. She naps. She's a dog. You got a 5-year-old in a candy shop amusement park. They're not going to say halfway through the day. They've got a whole day pass, right? Halfway through the day, they're not going to be like, you know what, I need a nap, and then I'm going to get back to playing. They're going to keep playing, and at the end of the day, you're going to have a really around my knife. You're going to have a really cranky child, right? Mm-hmm. So just like our puppies, when they're out all day long, they get real mouthy when they get really tired, and they start like Tank, when he gets tired, just attacks the furniture. Like he's fine all day, but when he's overtired, he just attacks the furniture. So we want to give him that nap before he gets overtired. But that was my like thing. Yeah, Marianne says she'll give it a try and you need some downtime. I'm sure. Marianne, text me because we gotta meet. I haven't seen you in a long time. I miss seeing you.
Rachel, can you do the leash thing?
Yes. So this was a super cool trick I learned. It's called a leash lock. It's a way to securely hold the leash. I'm going to explain it. I know you explained it to her, but anybody else? I really like this method because when you're training a dog, oh, look, she just asked it. So cute. That timing, super helpful way to hold the leash, right? Because I know when you're training your dog, you have to focus on the leash and the collar and your treats and what you're saying and what you're doing and where you're moving. It's a lot, right? And most people don't think about how much you have to think about the leash and how holding it incorrectly can make things much more challenging. So this is a trick that I fell in love with immediately. And I don't know how I used to ever hold a leash, not like this. So it's called a thumb lock. The reason is we're going to take the handle of our leash and put our thumb in it. Okay. I'm trying to make sure like it's clear in the camera because when I make a fist now, this is not going anywhere. So when I show my clients this, I'll have like full-grown adult males hold this leash and pull, and my thumb creates a lock. This leash is not going anywhere. So there's that. But Susan, my dog doesn't get this much leash. So what do I do with all this? So
that's what I remember.
Okay, so the way I do it, leash in my left hand. I'm going to take it and go down about halfway maybe. Pick this up. Okay. And now I'm going to pinch it between my index and my middle. So pinch. And then I'm going to see how much leash do I have left. This is a fairly short leash, so I only do it once, but it's still kind of a lot. So then I can take this part and pull it. So it's a little pulley. Leash gets shorter or longer. So I can figure out how much leash I want to give my dog. And then I flatten this all out and make a fist. So now you're not going anywhere because you're locked on my thumb and my pointer finger. If there's an emergency and it comes out of my pointer finger somehow, my thumb lock is still there. But you don't have all of that extra room now. Do you think you're able to see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Heather, tell me if that like showed okay for you too as well. But thumb, and then basically you just pick up some excess and put it between your index and middle. And then with most leashes, I usually do it twice. Pick it up again, because then all I've got to do is just pull and let go to shorten or length, make my leash longer. I don't know the terms. But that's how I do it. It's great because then everything is folded up super nicely and you don't even have to think about it because it's just there while you're walking. Yes, I really like it. So that's great. Cool. So I hope that helps. And this replay will be up later tonight if you want to look at it again. But yes, love the leash lock. Now I gotta tell you something funny.
Oh, go ahead.
When I first learned this, I was shown it at the internship we were at in Rhode Island.
I know. I thought I saw her showing you that because I think I was walking by. You were in the daycare room, and she was like, "Blah blah blah, thumb lock," and I'm like, "She never showed me that."
Well, I guess I just really sucked at. No, you know what happened? Somebody was watching me. I don't remember who. One of the head people there, and they were just watching how I naturally handled things, and they're like, "Yeah, pretty good," but like. I think maybe it was the girl who showed me. I don't know. But she was like, let's work on this a bit. And she showed me and it was like life changing. I honestly cannot remember. I'm not kidding here. How did I hold a leash before? Because I know I didn't put my hand through the hole because I got yelled at for that at my last job. Because they're like, you're gonna break your wrist. And I'm like, I don't care if I break my wrist as long as the dog doesn't run away. But now it's like, I'm not gonna break anything. So I don't know how I held it before, to be honest.
I did the loop. I did the loop-de-loop, like.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you hold it and then you're just like loop loop. Here we go.
Yeah.
But
it does kind of irritate me though because I'm like, how did I hold it? Maybe I'll go back and look at old videos and like zoom in on my hands. What was I doing?
You just wrap it around your wrist.
It's really tight, so my dog's not going anywhere. I know though, like it would be like really tight holding the leash because that was my worst fear that I would like drop the leash. Because then what do you do?
I don't have that fear, and I hope I don't get.
Because your dogs are so well trained, Susan. This was when I first started. Okay, don't come at me. But you know, your dogs are so well off leash trained, and we now form such a great bond with our dogs that it's like, well, if I drop the leash, you're gonna come back to me. So that's right. Fine. But yeah. What else you got for me, Susan? You got any dog training questions for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Which one do you want? The first one or the second one?
I want the first one.
My dog's very distracted by anything and everything. #Skyla. It is hard to get her to focus even inside the house with treats. What should I do?
So, as Susan previously mentioned, we need to find her motivator. Not as easy as it sounds when your dog is inside and you're using treats and they still don't care. So we've got a few options here. You're treat training your dog, but they're still not interested. Are you talking specifically about Skyla? Because I won't.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. That's not at Skyla. Love her, but my answer wasn't going to work then because I was going to say have her work for her food, you know. And this is somebody with their pet dog that they've got at their house. Have them work for their food because eventually they're going to get hungry enough to work for their food and their food's going to become more valuable, right? So Gaia, for example, she can't have treats because she's allergic to life. So she works for her kibble. When we first started doing this, she didn't care about the kibble. She didn't want to work for her food. She wanted it for free. So I'd be like, here's some food. And she'd be like, no. So she didn't get breakfast that morning. Well, come dinner time, guess who was hungry? So I'm like, here's some kibble. She was like, oh, great. Right. So that's what I would usually do, right? Build up the value of the food by having them work for it. So what happens then when you still have a dog who just doesn't care about the food because everything else is so interesting, right? I don't know, Susan, what did you do? Because you did a great job with Skyla.
What did I do, Rachel? You know,
I don't know. I was sitting here and I was like, what did you do? You just, I don't know, you worked her through it. You found something high value enough, right? Maybe the treats were high enough value. Did you start pairing pressure and just teaching her? I don't know. What did you do? I actually don't know.
I know. I get like training amnesia. After it's done, we're like, how did we train that?
We blocked that from our memory. We're like, nope.
Yeah, so mine's a little, my story's a little different because it's Skyla, and she didn't, she doesn't know me, but so the first day she wouldn't take food. I offered her treats. You can see day 1 of my training with her on my social media platforms. I sat there and I was like, hey, do you want this kibble? She's like, no. I'm like, hey, do you want this treat? She's like, no. Okay. And so like, okay, so in day 1, I only had this dog for 2 weeks. I really want to find something you're motivated about.
Mm-hmm.
And a former colleague, still colleague, but not local. Anyway, she told me if you get their food drive up, you can slip in their kibble and they won't even notice.
Mm-hmm.
That was true. So that's what I did with Skyla
Nice.
at first. So I was like, hey, here's some liver, pork liver, or no, not pork liver, beef liver. He's like, cool, thank you. And I'm like, you're welcome. And then like the next day, I'm like, here's your pork liver, or damn, here's your beef liver.
Here's your pork liver.
Yeah, here's your beef liver. And then I slipped in her kibble, and she's like, thank you. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So yeah.
I didn't even know you did that. I didn't know you had her working for a kibble as well.
Yeah, for like a day. And then I'm like, she just didn't care much about it. She'd eat it, but like sometimes spit it out. Okay.
Right.
So then I just went to beef liver, and I'm stuck with beef liver, blah. But if you have a dog, if this is your dog, you're only feeding through training, and it's day 4, and your dog hasn't had a meal, and your dog won't work for their kibble, I'm probably going to try to find a treat that you like, because by day 4, you should be moving on to like, dear God, I'm hungry. Let me work for this food.
Right.
And then,
so would you, sorry, question. All right. Day 4, dog hasn't eaten a meal, right? Been offered meals several times through training. Now we're 4 days in, you haven't eaten. Would you then start trying out the different high value treats? Like, you're still hungry, you've still gone 4 days without eating. Now try these high value treats that are going to be even higher.
Yes.
So then okay, so your dog lands on the pork liver because that's much better than the beef liver. And the dog's like, great, love this stuff. Then you're gonna offer a meal, like they get dinner that night, and then the next day, hopefully, you still want to work for this. I was gonna you give them a full portion.
I do like half a normal serving of food, because the treats don't have all the nutrition. Blah, haven't eaten, blah. So here's half of a meal. Now, are you gonna work for me tomorrow?
Right.
But if you still have a dog that's not really food motivated, so a colleague reached out to me today with a dog that's not food motivated, not toy motivated, not affection motivated. I'm probably going to start to use pressure if I really, really, really can't find anything that you're motivated by.
Like you said earlier, pressure is also a motivator.
Yeah.
It all ties together.
So if you're so distracted, you can't pay attention to me, and I've spent like several days working with you to find something that you care about, and you're still like this, when I'm like over here, then I'm going to start to introduce leash pressure. Oh. And then the dog's going to be like, oh.
What's that?
So I just go down, I'm going to feel this pressure. And I'm like, yes. And then they're like, okay, ma'am, what would you like me to do? So I'm going to introduce leash pressure, but I'm really going to try to find a positive. No, I'm going to try to find a motivator. How would you word that, Rachel? I was going to say positive motivator, but that's not accurate.
Well, yeah, it would be, but not positive, happy, right? So before I answer this, it's not positive, happy. Yes, I want to find a happy motivator, right? You're looking for a positive reinforcement. You're wanting to add something to increase the behavior rather than subtract something. So with leash pressure, we're taking away that leash pressure, and that's your reward. Or we could add in a treat or a toy as your reward. We want to make doing it fun first, but not all dogs want to do that. So we'll just make not doing it a little uncomfortable with leash pressure, and then doing it's cool because the leash pressure is off. So either way, we're making doing it fun, but we just like to start with positive reinforcement. So I want to add things. I want to add something to increase the behavior as much as possible in the beginning. And then we move on. And I just love the quadrant, so stop, because I'll talk about that all day. I don't know why I'm so fascinated by the training quadrant.
I don't know either because I could give or take it.
I love it. I could talk about it all day.
Here, I'm going to switch it up on you.
Okay.
Can you explain what you mean by proofing a command?
That is a great. Oh my gosh, was it you? No. I saw a post. There's this dog trainer I follow, and I wish I knew their name because I would shout them out. But they talked about proofing versus. Gosh, I don't remember. Anyways, man, that was exciting. I had a really fun thought when I was reading this person's post. Anyways,
proofing versus what? What else would you do? Proofing? Okay.
I gotta find it. They have a whole training vocabulary thing. Now I'm upset. Anyways, so what is proofing a command? We talk about proofing a command a lot. So when I do my training, I start out inside with no distance, no duration, and no distractions. So in this very sterile environment, you can sit, down, place, heel, recall, out. Great. As much as I would like it to be, that's not the world. There are noises and distractions and things that happen. So I want to test you in different environments. I want to make sure this command is so bomb proof, right? Proof, I don't know. I want to proof this command in different situations. Generalizing was the word they were talking about. It was generalizing and proofing is what they were talking about. So generalizing, not what we're talking about, is doing things in different areas, right? Sit means sit whether we're inside, in the front yard, in the backyard, or in the street, right? Mm-hmm. But sit also means sit. I'm going to proof you sitting when a dog across the street's barking. I'm going to proof your sit when a cat runs by. So I want to make sure you can do it wherever you are, right? Mm-hmm. Thanks, Marianne, for joining us. She says, I'm going to miss the last few minutes, but you have to go. You watched most of it. Thanks for joining. I loved having you. So yes, proofing just means I want to make sure you can do this command in different situations to make it work in real life. Did that answer it way more than I needed to?
Yes.
Like I always do.
Yes, thank you.
But okay, can I just say one more thing? I know, I've already said too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've said too much. No, so the cool thing about proofing your commands is it makes them work in real life and not just a trick.
Well, yeah.
So when you tell me your dog knows sit, that's what you were gonna say?
No, they'll know it's not. It'll work in real life, not just when it's set up.
Right. Sorry, I dropped some treats. Yeah, so proofing it because for me, if your dog sits inside with a treat, but then won't sit if you don't have a treat or won't sit when you go outside, that's a trick. You taught your dog a cool trick. But I teach sit as a command. And yes, I said command. It's not a request. People cry when you call it a command. Anyways, sit means sit when I say sit, right? So I want to proof it so you can sit outside and at the neighbor's house and in Home Depot. And that makes it worse for real life. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was nice, short and sweet.
It wasn't. Yeah. Nothing I ever say is short and sweet, Susan. Don't lie to me.
Okay. Do you have another one or do you want me to ask you one?
I actually had another topic, but it's not going to be talked about in the 4 minutes we have left. 6 minutes we have left.
Okay, here's one.
Okay.
My dog doesn't understand the word place. When I say it next to the bed, he gets on. But if I say it from across the room, he sits. What am I doing wrong?
Well, it sounds like you've taught your dog place and not ascend to place. So again, dogs think in pictures. So your dog's picture of place has always been, you walk me up next to this place cot, you tell me place, I get on it and I place. Assuming your dog knows a solid place, right? That's what it means. So I used to, without a doubt, always say you have to be standing next to the cot because that's what it is. And I will now start to teach my dog ascend to place. But how that works is I don't go from standing next to the place cot to standing on the other side of the room. The way I do it is I'm like place and then break, and then we'll do it again from here. And then I'll send you to the place from here. And we'll do this a bunch. Can you really go to your place bed from right here? Okay, cool. Now can you do it from here? And you want to slowly build that distance. And then another thing, just to be aware, if you're teaching a send to place, if you've got multiple place beds in a room, be fair. Don't get mad if your dog goes to the one you weren't talking about, because you're sending them to a place now. You could really do more work with that, blah. But be fair. So if you got one place bed in the room, this is the place bed you place on it in this room, then you can like start to add that distance. But you got to do it slowly.
Yeah. Perfect. Yes, because this did come up during one of my training sessions. The client said that her dog doesn't understand the word, and then told me this situation. And I was like, well, he does understand the word, but what you're trying to do is something totally different. That's
Right.
a place. So then we walked through that, and I told her exactly what you said. You'd have to start close to the bed where you usually do, and then each time you walk up, you're like one step further away from the bed each time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Heather, Penny and Howie's mom, has a solid send to place. I think she said, Heather, if you're still on here, didn't you say you could be in your kitchen? And she says place, and both the dogs run to the place bed, and they try to beat the other one there.
They're racing each other. Oh my gosh. Now, are they placing on the same bed or separate? Just curious.
Place bed, same place bed, because
that's
with her
adorable.
house, she's like, I can't have two place beds, so they have one big place bed.
That's adorable. That really is. I gotta say, Penny and Howie's mom, if you're still on here, I have just been impressed with. Okay, Susan and I talk about all of our clients. Sorry, don't know if y'all are okay with that, but we do, because we're sharing things. Susan has told me about all the great work you've done with these dogs, and like from day one, like recalling off of food, I think is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you're amazing. So yeah, that's really awesome. You've put in a lot of work with them, and it shows. So one-on-ones aren't for everybody. And Susan and I, you call them one-on-ones. No, you call it one-on-one. Okay. Brain. One-on-ones aren't for everyone, because you gotta put in the work. You're going above and beyond. You have to put in the work. This stuff doesn't just happen, right? Like that's why we have a job, because these things don't just happen. You have to put in the work. So while they're not for everyone, you have definitely made them great.
Well, Heather said she's going to start working for me part-time training dogs. So.
Oh, good. Can you join our group and we can like have a little trio? It'll be great. You've definitely, from what I've heard, I don't even know you, and I'm just like boosting you, because every time Susan tells me something about Howie and Penny, I'm like, are you kidding me? But yeah, you sound like you got what it takes. So yeah, I'm excited. Really cool stuff. All right, Susan, do you have anything?
She'd love to.
Do it.
Do it.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, I have one final thing you could squeeze in 2 minutes.
2 minutes, Susan.
Can you tell me, or tell the mass public, what threshold drills are?
Threshold drills, something I'm doing a lot with Gaia. So basically a doorway, a gate, whatever, right? A threshold. What we're going to do is we're going to practice moving up to this threshold. You're going to start out fair, lure them into a sit, leash pressure them into a sit, whatever, right? When we get to this threshold, you have to sit. I'm going to open said threshold, open the door, open the gate. You are going to remain in your sit. If you get up when I'm first teaching you, I'm going to help you back into it and close that threshold. The only way you're going through this threshold is
just sounded like, okay, real quick. You just sounded like one of those speaker boxes, like when you're at the amusement park, and it's like, please
keep your hands and feet in the vehicle at all times.
I'm going to put you back into a sit and close the door.
Actually, there's this dude on TikTok. I've been meaning to send you his things, and that's what I was reminding myself of. He talks about the emergency room. Got to tell you about him later. But he talks like this, because this is how you do it. But yes, threshold. You're going to go into a sit. I'm going to open the door. If you get out of that sit, door closes, putting you back in. In the beginning, we're not going to correct. We're going to help our dogs out a bunch. The end goal is to be able to open the threshold, and then I release you to go through it. So a lot of times people ask me, do you have to walk through the threshold first to show the dog you're alpha? No, I'm showing the dog I'm the leader by opening this threshold and then allowing them to go through it. So if you're super consistent with threshold drills, I can walk up to my front door, hold it wide open, and Gaia just looks at me like, this is a setup. Like, she doesn't go through an outside barrier unless she sits and is released first. That's the law in my household. You don't go outside unless you sit and be released first, because I don't want a dog who runs out the front door.
Right.
That's that. Does that explain it a little bit?
Yes. Perfect. Okay. Perfect way to end. You can slice off the last 10 seconds of this.
Yeah, if you're watching the replay, you won't get to hear my amazing exit that I always do. Do you have anything else?
No.
All right. My very favorite thing to say is thank you, everybody, for watching. Really super awesome Q&A today. Loved answering the questions. So please always join us and ask your questions, because it makes my day. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Pack Leader Dog Training. And at Pack Leader Dog. Messed up because I oversaw it, Susan. And Rachel Kohler Dog Training. Thank you so much for watching.
Good night.
Bye.